Hi, I'm Jonni from UltimatePaperMache.com, and a couple of days ago a friend of mine who lives in another state asked me to see more of my new studio space, and I thought, wow, that'd be a great idea for a video. I haven't got a project for you today. I have been working on a T-Rex mask or wall sculpture pattern, like one of the patterns like I have back here, and it's been challenging. That's what I'm going to call it. Have you ever been working on a project where you think that when it gets done it's going to be really nice, but it's kind of frustrating and you'd kind of like to back up just a little bit and do something else for just a little while? You don't want to put it on a shelf and leave it there because then, well, then you might forget about it entirely and it would never get done. You don't want to do that. You just want to go do something else just for a little while. I'm kind of at that point. Now, if this was summertime, I would just go out and play around in the garden for a little while. That would be great. That's a fantastic way to clear your head and really kind of get the creative juices going. But I'm in Minnesota and we're right in the middle of an ice storm, so I guess I could go outside. But I'm not gonna. So let me show you my studio instead. This is the little work table that I use when I'm making my tutorials. It turns. I actually have a video showing you how I made that. And it's put on a wire stand. I don't know what that little thing is called. Cart, I guess. And it's got wheels down at the bottom so that I can move it out of the way whenever I'm not actually using it. I don't normally keep it out here in the middle of the room. The cord goes to the camera so that I don't have to worry about the battery running out right in the middle of one of my tutorials. And the camera itself is actually sitting on this contraption. I don't actually know what that's called. I have to look it up, and I'll put a link down below. It has a lot of various things that you can change to make the those arms go up and down. And I just a couple of weeks ago, I built this wooden thing. I used to have the contraption attached to the table, and it restricted how high I could put the camera. So if I wanted to actually take a picture, video of something that I was doing on the table from above, that made it a little bit difficult to actually get everything focused. So hopefully this will help. Now, one of the reasons that I really needed those wheels is that there is a door on one side, and then there's a door on the other side. So this is actually a hallway. And we've got the washing machine on one side. So I really need to move the table away from the center of the room whenever I'm not actually using it. This shelving unit, I already had that. I actually have 2 sections of it. They didn't cost very much, and it's not real sturdy. But they're all, 12-inch squares, or cubicles, I guess you could say. So everything that I need is in there. I'll show you what's in all those bins in just a second. And I did have a little bit of wood left over from a project in the bathroom that I'm using for a tabletop over there so that Giraffe and Piggy can go on it. And I had a black thing for the horse to sit on. I really like the black area that's framed for the elephant. I think it looks really nice that way. I tried putting it on the wall and it just disappeared because I painted the wall elephant gray. That didn't work so good. There's my little chair that I bought from Harbor Freight. It got here a few weeks ago. I still haven't actually sat in it yet. I'm hoping that will help me because it's bar height too, and so is the table. So it should make it a lot easier when I'm spending a couple of hours putting paper mache on a project. I'll be able to sit down. Hopefully that'll work. And the tabletop, of course, goes around. I showed you how to do that. I actually built it on a video quite some time ago. So that you can see how that's done. It makes it so much easier to sculpt when you can actually move it. I do use this tape to cover this surface up every once in a while. It gets really gross, with my paper mache and my paint and the hot glue, and it just ends up being kind of a mess. And so I put this tape on there. It's real sticky and it's real wide. It's used for mailing packages. and it just covers the wooden thing really easily. The round piece of wood is something you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. They're not terribly expensive, and like I said, I do have a video on showing you how to make this table. And then I use this thing, which is that's a skewer for shish kebabs or something, and it goes through this hole, and then there's another hole down here in the wooden thing, so that way I can actually do a video without the table moving too much. It still will a little bit, but not too bad. So now let me show you what I've got in all those bins. The one organizing tips that I got from my daughter, which made so much sense. I wish I had thought of this a whole long time ago, but I didn't. I asked her, how the heck do you organize all of your oil paints? She's an oil painter. She uses tons of different colors. And so I asked her, how do you actually find the color that you need when you need it? And she said to put all the colors that you actually use in almost every single painting or sculpture in my case, which I did. I put all of them in here that I normally use, and the only one that didn't fit in there was my burnt umber. I used that on almost everything, and it goes right there because it just didn't fit in the drawer. All the rest of the paint that's sitting here, I've just bought them one at a time over the years. Go to Walmart or an art store and pick up one color that I never use again. But you buy it and it makes no sense whatsoever to just throw it out. I almost always use the ones that are in that drawer. But if I need them, I still have, the other paints are easy to find if I have to. This shelving unit is really cheap. It's just, really light plastic, so it won't hold a lot of weight. But it didn't cost very much, and it was really easy to put it together. Very easy also to move it from one room to the other, which was really nice. If I had a shelving unit that big made out of wood, there's no way I could have moved it. I've had quite a few of these little drawer things for years, and I went and bought some more when I moved into this room. I got them at Walmart. They're, I think, 11 inches wide. Got paper in the one on the right, and then all my brushes go in the middle one there. I've got my sculpting tools in there, then pencils and pens in the other ones. I've got 2 buckets of liquid down below. That's what that bucket is, and then there's another one over there underneath the cups and stuff. That's the brown paper that I use a lot. It comes with Amazon boxes. And then inside this bucket is my plaster cloth. The brown cardboard down there, that's actually the same weight as cereal box cardboard. I don't actually eat cereal, so I don't have any cereal boxes around the house. And almost all of the patterns that I sell use cereal box cardboard. And I use a lot of it because I have to make, as many as 10 copies of it before I get all the pieces to fit correctly. So I buy it in really big boxes from, I think it's called, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the company. But there's enough in the box to last me a couple of years. You can get it on Amazon.com too in smaller quantities. Then I've got some wooden balls in there, various shapes that I've collected over the years, and all of my armature wire. I've got glue sticks in there, my Magic Sculpt, love Magic Sculpt, and then below there is my Rebound 25. That's what I use for my brush-on molds when I'm making copies of paper mache masks. I have a video that shows you how to do that, and I'll put a link to that down below. I really like Rebound 25. Now you can see that that's heavy. Those are gallon containers and they're heavy, and so is the gallon container of Elmer's glue. There's my joint compound is behind the Elmer's glue. You can't see it. I put the heavy stuff down in the very bottom because those plastic shelves are not going to hold something that heavy. The cardboard's the same way. It's just not going to go up on any of the higher shelves. But the other stuff is actually quite light, especially all those balls. The cat really loves those. Yeah, those foam balls. He gets in there and helps himself to them. Sometimes I'll come out here and there'll be 10 or 20 of them all over the floor. But it's kind of fun putting them back. I've got just various things in here, you know, all the tape in one section, all the glue and glue guns are in one. So I've got everything organized by use, like in here. This is all my measuring things go in here. This is all the scissors. And I've got sharp things in here, you know, like X-Acto knives and whatnot. So, you know, everything is kind of organized so that I'll know exactly where it goes when I need to put it away. Instead of just throwing it on whatever horizontal surface happens to be around, which is the way I was doing it before. Then I've got a turret up there that I made out of an oatmeal box that hopefully someday will have a dragon on top of it, because that's actually a coin bank. Harry is there helping out. I've got some paper mache clay in that yogurt container. That's a painting that my daughter made years and years ago. If you haven't seen her recent paintings, you gotta go see them. I'll put a link to them down below. She's just doing some amazing work lately. So that's my studio reveal, and this is where I make all my stuff, and it is really working out well for me, working better than having the studio in the bigger space. Now I do also use the some space in the living room when I'm cutting out the pieces for the patterns, like for these guys when I'm designing one, or for the T-Rex that I'm working on now. The first one doesn't work. So I have to print out a whole bunch of different variations of the pattern, print it out and cut it out and throw all the pieces on the floor. And I'm usually doing that in the living room right next to my computer. That way I can listen to a podcast. But all of the paper mache sculpting and all of the clay sculpting, that happens in here. The other space in the house that I use a lot is the kitchen, because especially when I'm doing anything wet, like the plaster cloth, I don't do it in here. I don't want the plaster to end up on the wooden floor. So I do that in the kitchen, and that works out just fine. I wash out all of my brushes in there, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'm basically using the whole entire house for my studio, but most of the work actually happens in here, and it's nice and organized now. I'm just really happy with it. If you have a hobby where you're making things, you always end up with a whole bunch of stuff that you have to put somewhere. Now, how do you do it? How do you organize everything so that you always know where it is? Or do you just go ahead and look for it like I used to do? Let us know in the comments down below, and then come visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. I'll see you there.